Hey everyone, Jared James here, and welcome to episode 73 of the Jared James Show here. Do me a favor, as always, guys, give this a thumbs up, leave a comment, subscribe, turn on notifications, and share this with someone you think that it would benefit from it. Today I want to talk to you about a very important topic in regards to the importance between the difference of awareness versus adoption, right? Awareness versus adoption. And, this is specific to the real estate industry, but really anybody in sales or anything, any entrepreneur, anybody this is going to relate to right now. But, we've gone through kind of a crazy time. Like at the time that I'm shooting this, it's 2021. It's just about to be the spring of 2021. We've come through, 2020, which is just an insane time with coronavirus and all of this stuff that's happened. And we went through a time where not only was that going on, but you also have all of these technological advancements that have happened. You have all these disruptors that have come into the industry. You've got all these third-party apps. You've got all this crazy kind of stuff. And the real question we want to start to ask ourselves in regards to our industry, and as someone who is a leader in our industry and somebody who is helping others, consumers in our industry, you need to start to ask yourself, do I know the difference between awareness and adoption, right? Am I just aware of everything, or have I actually adopted anything new? And I think it's safe to say that we are an industry that generally tends to be a little bit behind the times. We are super, super aware, right? But we kind of stay where we're at. We're an industry that will sit here and debate e-signatures for years while we're still asking people for their fax number, right? That's not really the place that we want to be, right? And so when we look at it, I think, again, we're not really an industry where we're not aware enough. I think that everybody in the world is more aware than ever before, right? We have more content being put out than ever before. We have more people with rumors and talking, and we have social media, and we've got all these things. I think we all would agree that we are plenty aware. Can we agree with that? But awareness is not what separates you from your competition. Awareness is not what separates you from where you were yesterday. Awareness is not what makes you a better option today than you were a year ago. Ultimately, that comes down to adoption. Are we actually willing to adopt? Are we willing to actually say, okay, I'm aware of these things, but am I doing anything? And there was a time, by the way, when we were able to get away with it. There was a long period in our industry where you were able to get away with not doing too much video. You were able to get away with not having the technology. We were able to get away with, but here's what's happened and here's the problem. When you go through what we just went through over the past year, and everybody's locked up in their homes and they're using their devices more than ever, and they're one-click shopping on Amazon. They're ordering their food, their groceries, having it delivered to their house, or they're just showing up and it's there. When you live in a world like that, right, where your consumers are doing Zoom happy hours on a regular basis, they're now FaceTiming people, and they're used to being on video and talking to people, and when that starts to happen, what happens is that the consumer starts to catch up to where the professional is supposed to be. And so while before it used to be okay just to be aware, now we live in a place where if you're just aware and you haven't adopted, you've actually fallen behind, because the consumers, where it used to be us and the consumer like this, what happens is the consumers just went like this, and they jumped up a level because the times forced them to do it. And a lot of times that's where adoption comes from, right? Adoption can come from you being curious and saying, hey, I'm going to go after this, and there's certain personalities that are like that. Adoption can come from just training and people around you doing it. Adoption can come from necessity, which is what happened with a lot of consumers. But when it comes to you as a professional, I don't care which way it's got to come through, adoption has to come to you, right? Because if not, the consumers are ultimately ahead of us, and we do need to worry about all the third parties and all this other stuff because they're doing something we're not doing, right? And the question I wanted to ask you on today's episode is, what have you adopted as a result of the times that we're in? What have you adopted as a result of the times that we're in? Not what can you talk about intelligently now, not what are you aware of. Remember, awareness versus adoption. What have you heard about? What have you actually, when you stop right now, wherever you are, whether you're in your home, you're in your office, whatever, what have you adopted as a result of the times we're in? What has changed in your business? What has made you uncomfortable to get to know? What is something that you knew that you should have done, but you finally are now doing it because the times have forced us to do that? What is it that's actually occurred as a result of that, right? When you look at, and this is a very important point, when you look at what's going on, I did a video and I talked about what Zillow and these other places are doing where they're creating end-to-end platforms. You have to remember that there's a couple of things that competition does, right? Competition either eliminates you, right? That's what, heavy competition does to people who aren't prepared for it, or it makes you better, right? It can either eliminate you or it can make you better. And you need to start asking yourself, as we've come through this time that we're in right now, like, what effect has it had on you? What have you changed as a result? Because while we're getting upset at people for going end to end and having the tools and having the softwares and having all of this stuff and, giving these options to the consumer, my question to you is, what have you changed in your business? What have you adopted in your business that allows you to compete on that level? And I'm going to submit to you that we are now in a world where you need to be offering end-to-end solutions. Do you think it's an accident that brokerages all over our industry, offer title, offer insurance, offer all of these other things? Because they're understanding they need to be a part of those processes, right? And so, if you follow me, I've said this over and over and over again. Like, have you gotten a TC yet? A transaction coordinator? Like, you can't, in today's world of real estate, be operating and saying, I'm the best option for you if you don't even have that yet. Because they're going to other places and they're having every option available to them. They're getting end-to-end services. What have you adopted? Not are you aware of it? Have you heard me say it before? But have you adopted, right? Do you have a TC, right? Are you working towards actually building out a real infrastructure, right? Where it's not just you, where you actually run a business. You don't just run around, you actually run a business. And everything doesn't come down to you. Are you working towards having an admin? Are you working towards working with a third-party marketer that does your stuff so that every single seller, every single buyer has the exact same McDonald's experience, the fries taste the same everywhere, right? Are you working towards hiring buyer agents and eliminating your time? Are you working towards, right? When it comes to growth, it's pretty simple, guys. Everything that doesn't involve, or everything that you can delegate outside of you being face-to-face with people, negotiating, kissing babies, shaking hands, all of that stuff. Everything else at some point gets delegated. That's called running a company. That's called running a brand. That's called running a business, right? And you don't need to be there right now, but are you working towards it? Because going forward, going into the future here, I'm telling you that the people that don't do that, they're not the option for the agent, for the consumer anymore. Because the consumer has so many other options. And when you get upset about these other companies and going, they're stealing my clients and they're doing all this stuff, they can only disrupt, they can only steal, when we stop doing our job. It's really that simple. When we stop doing our job. And part of our job is not just helping them, opening doors and, helping them negotiate and those things. Part of it is us understanding the difference between awareness and adoption and slowing down and saying, what needs to change within my business for this to be the right place, for me to be the right person for someone to work with? Sometimes I think that we get so close to the business because we are the business that we don't necessarily put the same kind of heat on it. We don't necessarily, look over it the way that maybe somebody else would if it was an outside business overall, because we are the business. So it doesn't face the same scrutiny, right? But we need to stop and say, can I put myself out of business? Can me a week from now put myself out of business right now, right? Because that's your job as a small business owner, is to always be working to put yourself out of business. Otherwise, someone else will. And so what needs to be changing? Am I just aware, or am I actually adopting, right? Am I working towards the various tools that I need, the softwares, the infrastructure within my business, so that I'm giving them that Amazon experience right here by coming to me? But the only difference is they don't not only get that experience, but they get me. They get my personality, they get my desire, they get all of that intertwined into that, which is your ultimate advantage, right? People are and always will be the heart of this industry. They're the bloodline. They are everything that matters within this industry. But when you can mix it with all of the services and everything else they want during the third most stressful time in their life, that's a big thing, right? And so the other question I want to be asking yourself is, do I have a coach, right? Like, it's not an accident I run a coaching company, right? It's not because I think that they're just great to make money. It's because they're needed. You know, what we find with most people when we say, hey, are you aware or have you adopted? The difference between awareness and adoption is that most agents are aware, they just don't adopt because they see everything, they just don't do the next thing, right? They know what they should do. It just doesn't mean that they're actually doing it. You know, and they're going, I don't know what, you know, when do I do this? When do I do that? That's what a coach helps you with. What's next? Don't worry about that 5 steps away. Let's do this, and then this, and then this, and then this. I can't tell you how many thousands of students we've worked with that have said, my God, I look back and look how far we've come, because it's not just about that awareness. It's ultimately about that adoption. And that is my hope for so many of you that are watching right now, that as we look back on this video 5 years from now, 10 years from now, and we go, man, I wish that I had listened to what he was saying. I wish that I had really heard the words and understood that things were changing so rapidly, and that I had worked to put myself out of business so someone else didn't do it. Because for some of you, it's not even that you're going to get put out of business. It's that you're going to still be in business but struggle, or you're going to be way less than where you should be if you just would have understood the difference between awareness and adoption, okay? So I'd love for you, as you watch this, as I said, guys, give it a thumbs up. Leave a comment below. Let me know what you are either going to adopt or what you have already adopted as a result of the times we're in. I think it would be really helpful for all the other people that see this to see that other people are doing things, or what the thing is that they're going to do. Let's use this to encourage each other, because when we do that, we all get better. Okay, guys, hope you enjoyed this. Make sure you subscribe, share it with someone else. I appreciate you watching. Hopefully I'll see you all soon live at an event somewhere all over the world. See you guys soon.